So I had a couple of people asking me, what does my anxiety, the dizziness, the vertigo, off balance, lightheaded feeling, how does it feel for me? Everyone has a different way of explaining how they feel. For me personally, when I have dizziness, off balance, vertigo, lightheaded, to be honest, before I didn't know there was a difference between vertigo and dizziness. I thought they were all the same, but when you're dizzy, you feel like you don't feel like you're balanced. When you're walking, you don't feel like you're walking straight. Vertical is where everything is spinning. Whether you feel like the spin is in your head or feel like everything around you is spinning. For me, I get more the off balance, dizziness, lightheaded feeling more than the vertical. I have experienced vertigo, in my lifetime. Maybe 3 to 5 times. But it's the dizziness that I get. The dizziness, the off balance feeling that I get most of the time. For me, let's say I'm sitting right now. I'm sitting in my car. I just dropped off my daughter off work. But if I'm sitting down, I feel like I'm always leaning. I can be sitting straight, like my head could be looking straight, lined up with the headrest. But I feel like I'm always going this way, this way. Sometimes I feel like I'm like I'm about to fall on my face. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to pass out and just fall backwards. I don't feel like I'm ever sitting straight. Even though I know I am, I always feel like I'm leaning towards one side. For another example, when I'm driving, sometimes I'm stopped. I'm at a red light, a stop sign, or whatever, and the cars next to me, their light is green for them to make a left turn, right? And then I feel like when they're moving, I feel like I'm moving. I know my foot's on the brake. On my car I can put it on auto hold. So when I'm at the stop, I can just let my foot off the brake, and I know I'm not moving. But seeing those cars next to me move, it feels like I'm moving with them, even though I'm not moving. And if I'm not the one driving and I'm on the passenger seat, I still feel like I'm moving, even though the car is not moving. Let's say that sensation you get off when you get off the elevator or the escalator. You feel like you're still on it when you're off it. Sometimes it'll last for like a minute, a couple of seconds. Sometimes it lasts for like 10, 15 minutes, and I still feel like I'm on the elevator, on the escalator. I signed up for the gym not too long, maybe 2 months ago. When I'm on a treadmill, right? When I get off the treadmill, I feel like I'm still on the treadmill. It's the worst feeling when you feel like you're always moving, even though you're just sitting still, laying down, or standing up. You always feel like you're always moving. There's times I feel like I'm sinking to the ground. Like, I could be sitting on my computer. I feel like I'm falling down to the ground. I feel like I'm on quicksand. I'm sinking down to the ground. Someone's dragging me down to the ground. Sometimes when I'm walking down like a narrow hallway, like at my house, I have a narrow hallway. I feel like someone is pulling me side to side. Right? Sometimes I feel like I'm walking down the hill, and I don't live on the hill, and I feel like I'm sloping down. There's time I feel like my legs are weak and jelly, like I can't stay up. Sometimes I feel like one side of my leg is longer than the other. Um, there's times that I feel like I can feel the earth moving. Well, obviously the planet is moving, but we can't feel it. But at the same time, I feel like I can feel it moving. You know, and then obviously the vertical is where everything's spinning. Sometimes I get that sensation that my head is spinning, like slowly spinning, like I'm just like drifting in a circle. If I'm laying down, even with my eyes closed, I still feel like I'm moving. I feel like I'm floating around my bed. I feel like I'm flying. You know, and then I get the tilting sensation. Sometimes I feel like everything's like tilting left, right, sideways, like that. If I'm looking at the tree that's straight, and then I go down the block, I look at the tree that's like slanted down this way, I feel like I'm slanted that way too. And then my head starts hurting. It's like I get this pressure. I don't. Sometimes I'm not even having a panic attack, and I still feel that lightheaded, and that throws me into a panic. not as much as they used to, but you know, this year hasn't been like, this year for some reason I keep feeling like my panic attacks are coming back. Last year, um, and last year, especially last year and the year before, 2019, not so bad. Was pretty good for me. 2019, last year was good for me, but this year, on and off, I've been feeling like my panic attacks are, you know, slowly coming back. I'm not gonna, to be honest, there was times that I didn't want to leave the house, and I still did. Yesterday I was feeling anxiety creeping up on me. I went to the mall still, and I had to go to get my car oil changed. So, I went to the mall with my daughter, her aunt, and my ex, which is my daughter's mom. And the entire time I sat down and eat, I felt like I was falling off the chair, and I was feeling completely off balance. Part of the mall has a little slope, so when I was walking down the little slope, I feel like I couldn't. I feel like as soon as I walked down the little slope, I feel like I was still running, even though I was walking. And I had to feel like I had to. My upper body feel like it has to go catch up with my lower body, and that's the worst feeling. But like I say, everyone explains the dizziness, the off balance, lightheaded feeling. They explain it differently, but like I mentioned, I never knew there was a difference between dizziness and vertigo. I just thought they were all the same. But that feeling like you're always on the boat. Feel like your body's always moving when you're sitting still, standing, laying down, even with your eyes closed, even in complete darkness. You feel like you're always moving. For me personally, when I'm moving and I know I'm moving, but it feels like I'm moving. If I'm walking towards the left and I feel like I'm walking towards the right, I have to think about it. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm moving towards the side that I'm not even moving to. If I'm moving to the right, I feel like I'm moving to the left. It's just that feeling in your head that you're going the opposite way of where you think you're going. And if I'm looking, let's say I'm looking straight and I see like a narrow hallway, I'm just standing there. I feel like the hallway is shifting to the left or shifting to the right, and I'm not even moving. And I know I'm not moving, but that feeling of moving, it's scary and it's not fun. Especially when you get nauseated, your stomach starts getting, feel like you have to throw up. It doesn't help when you're feeling that like that. And sometimes when I'm just at work sitting down and I think I'm sliding off the chair, it throws me back into the first time I felt that sensation, back in over 5 years ago. That was the first time I ever experienced that falling sensation. And then when I stood up, I had the vertigo, and this was at my previous job. And sometimes I still get those flashback memories of those moments. When it all happened, and to me, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it has been 5 years already since I experienced my panic attacks. And but yeah, for me, just the dizziness, the vertigo, all those feelings. I can manage it a lot better now than when I start having them. But obviously, a lot of us, what's been happening, we don't have to feel it that way again. But it comes and it goes, and there's times that it still bothers me, it still scares me. But I'm just happier now than I was before. But yeah, like I said, that's how I explain my distance, my vertigo, my off balance. I always feel like I'm moving, feel like I'm on the boat. Sometimes I feel like the ground feels like it's always moving. Sometimes when I'm walking, I feel like the ground is feels like I'm walking on an earthquake on a boat. Sometimes I feel like my body's not even touching the ground. Sometimes I feel like part of my body's taller than the other side. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking down the hill when I'm not. It just that constant feeling of being moving. Like sometimes I feel like I'm sitting in a car. I feel like in the back of me feels like I'm shifting towards one side and not the front of my body, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's how I explain it, and that's the best way I could.